It is beyond the shadow of a doubt that institutions are now in control of crypto. Now, in the famous saying of the late Wu-Tang Clan, cash rules everything, cream get the money, dollar bill y'all. Wall Street has chosen its own big winners in an S&P 500 crypto index that is the first of its kind, and it's only including very specific projects that have a key metric that's a common denominator for all of them. And in today's video, I'm going to dive into these 5 projects and a little front-end information so that you can understand how to track this information for yourself and why revenue matters so much.
There's 18 constituents total. The largest 5 are Ether, Binance Coin, Solana, Tron, and Hyperliquid. So what are the requirements? How much turnover do you expect? And what do these choices represent?
Yeah, so let's just admit that digital assets moves faster than equity assets, for example. But what we're trying to bring are the same sort of principles that we have in our equity indices into digital assets. So when you think about the seasoning period, the revenue generation, the listing requirement, the liquidity behind these different protocols for these tokens, these are the things that we think matter for serious investors and asset managers in the digital asset space.
This is a revenue-driven bull market that we're knocking on the door of, and Wall Street is getting in while the chips are down, lining up indexes with the ability for investors to line their pockets with these projects before the noise comes back. This new S&P index selected only a few specific crypto projects based on their protocol revenue, not their size and ranking in terms of market cap. This index is in conjunction with the S&P Dow Jones Indices and Pantera Capital, a digital asset investment firm. Now, the total amount of crypto constituents that stand a potential to be listed is 18 different projects, but they're really focusing in on 5 of the largest targets for the S&P index: Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Tron, and Hyperliquid. There has been a major shift that's occurred in crypto over the course of the last bull market now to the bear where we are. There are nearly 80 million projects that are out in circulation right now, and there's a lot of projects that are slated to die because of lack of liquidity, lack of revenue generation, and general bad actors flushing themselves out and rinsing their investors as exit liquidity. So the first project that they listed is Solana. Let's take a look at Solana's larger chart. And really, Solana has a very structurally sound graph in comparison to most altcoin projects. But the key behind this is the revenue metrics. Now, as shown on the screen here, price has been sliding, as I just showed you on CoinMarketCap, market cap sliding as well. The fees have taken a dive, but the daily active users on the chain is beginning to spike aggressively. Also within this paired metrics is the chain transactions are spiking. So when I look at this data, I have to understand that, yes, the chips are down. Many of these projects are in a bear market, and really no altcoin has been left unscathed other than a few select projects, and one of those is on this list I'm going to be covering today. Solana has turned into a chameleon of the crypto space with its integration into the meme coin meta, AI agents as of more recently, even NFTs when they were alive in the 2021 bull market, and RWA, real world asset tokenization. It's got multiple different aspects of how it approaches this tokenization of money markets as we know it. Now, Solana has often been dubbed as the Ethereum killer last cycle, and I think we've all kind of gotten over that idea because you see how strong Ethereum has become in the terms of stable coin adoption. If you compare Solana's chart with Ethereum's chart, it really is not too far off. Ethereum is set up with more recently a minuscule new all-time high in comparison to the bull run of 2021, but it is setting up a series of healthy floor support here in the $1,500 region. The more recent washout has been proved as a short-term local support spot, and Ethereum has been rallying pretty aggressively and performing very well against Bitcoin even over the last few weeks. Another project on their list is Hyperliquid. And I think what Hyperliquid has done is become contagious. The token value capture of Hyperliquid in terms of the revenue generated by the chain being translated back into token price has really shown itself on the graph as well. Now, Hyperliquid has some major investment firms that got in around $30 that have been clipping huge chunks of their Hyperliquid holdings over the last few weeks, which is driving the price down, along with just a general boring feeling in the crypto market right now. But Hyperliquid is another one that I'm keeping close on the radar. And if you compare the actual activity within these networks, Hyperliquid's fees has been stronger than Solana and Ethereum over the course of the last few months. Notably, Hyperliquid also has very volatile spikes to the upside in terms of revenue, which is really gleaming through the chart, as you can see from what I'm showing here, a series of higher lows. A great graph in terms of where we are in the bear market. Any altcoin that's showing a graph like this while the chips are down is likely to do very well when the noise comes back to crypto. This is where we're analyzing what projects are actually doing well or holding their ecosystems together in the bear markets, because those usually are the runners when the bull returns. And another project that was listed by this index is Tron, the sweetheart of Southeast Asia. It's basically been dubbed the Ethereum of Asia, and Tron has one of the most exciting altcoin graphs in the entirety of crypto. It hasn't quite noticed that there's even been a bear market going on, coming in at 32 cents right now. It does have its own potential drawbacks in terms of leadership concerns, but if you overlay Tron in comparison to these other top chains picked out by this index, you're going to see some pretty interesting information. Tron's daily active users is starting to compete with Solana in a very tangible way. Though the fees and revenue are much smaller than the other competitors, the users are expanding. Chain transactions are not expanding at the same rate as Solana. So you have to take this information with a grain of salt, because there is a time and a place where these metrics matter the most. And that's when Bitcoin has shown the rest of the crypto market that, yes, it's party time once again. Usually once you break the 200-week moving average, and then party time comes to the altcoin sector. And that's where the real winners and losers are chosen, and people start moving in with size. And the last one on this list of the chosen 5 is BNB. Now, I've seen a lot of structural defense of BNB's price around the $500 mark. This even was occurring back in 2024, 2025, and now we've dropped to that same $500 region once again in the bear market. Now, the drawdown on this token has been a lot less than I would have expected, and it does still have the potential of drawing down to this ascending trend line in the mid $400 region. There's been a lot of moments over the last 2 years where I expected to see a deeper pullback on BNB, and it simply has not cut through this $500 region. So where it sits right now, to me, is actually a pretty decent value proposition for where the greater crypto market sits. There's been a lot of realization that the geopolitical pressures that Trump has been getting us involved with here in the United States and the Middle East are starting to have less and less of an impact on risk assets within crypto, which means that if Bitcoin is not cascading to the downside even further than where it already sits, we're right around production costs for Bitcoin. We've seen a major capitulation candle on Bitcoin, very similar to when Celsius went belly up in the last bear market, really marking that moment of a bear market bottom. And if diving deeper into revenue metrics, chain transactions, and all of the real underbelly of crypto interest you, I highly recommend you go into our school community and take advantage of the resources we've made available so that you yourself can go to the right locations and have a true system to analyze when chains are still viable, when the ecosystems are growing, and when the revenue is coming into the token. It's hunting season for me in the altcoin sector, and this list is quite exciting to see making its way to the S&P 500 right now. I'm getting in a position with a small introduction back into altcoins over the course of the last few weeks, and hopefully we get a similar bear market to bear markets of the past, where we have till around the remainder of the year to get into position at super low prices. But you never know. That's why I'm making some moves right now and getting into position ahead of the storm. Let me know in the comments down below what projects you think are going to be the hottest in the next bull market, and I'll be paying attention to those picks and doing some analysis inside of our educational program. Take care.